So you're saying you're doing research with Dr. Singhal.
Over brain drain. And basically, we're just studying the movement of like highly educated people or like skilled people who are moving out.
Interesting.
Yeah, moving out their country, or we're trying to understand why. As you can see, this is like so right now it's in Senegal, and Senegal they speak. I believe this is French. It's translated from French to English. And basically, we're going over like we're asking them questions, interviewing them, and asking them like why are they leaving, what made them want to become the profession that they got into, and yeah, we just have to like code it at the moment. So yeah, that's what we're working on for the research in Senegal. Leadership. I unfortunately wasn't in any leadership positions this year, but I did apply for a BHPO event coordinator, and I have a WOA e-board interest meeting coming up, so hopefully I get one of the positions for next year. SMART goals. Last semester, I was 0.02 points off on making the dean's list. So this year, I'm ensuring that I get on the dean's list this year. And I'm working on my RDA license. I'm one step away from submitting it and like getting everything done. So yeah.
What's an RDA?
Oh, sorry, I forgot to say that. Registered dental assistant. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Sorry about that. And summer plans. Plan to do summer school, just catch up on all my classes since I just became a double major, just like out of all the classes I can, just like basically testing out. And then I plan to take Bio 2 and Gen Chem 1 over summer school and Foundations of Accounting. And then work as a dental assistant. Hopefully, whenever I get all my registered dental assistant stuff settled in, I can work as a dental assistant. And last, sleeping, because it's been a really tough year. Very tough. And last, some honorable mention page. I wanted to say this year I really found people who really helped me find out more about myself. And I just want to take the time to appreciate TLS and the opportunity they gave me, because without them, I wouldn't be able to have such an experience. And I don't know, I'm very grateful for the opportunity that I was given to be a TLS member. And yeah, questions?
Okay, well, good job. Good job. It sounds like you had a fun first year and you managed it pretty well. So congratulations. That's no small feat. No small feat. So just a couple of things I want to encourage you about. The first is that your activities outside of class will always outweigh what's going on in the classroom in terms of your own satisfaction. And when there's something like med school, dental school, you know, any kind of professional venture that's very competitive, it's the outside of the classroom activities that are really going to make a difference. So I want to encourage you to continue to pursue those things. I love that you're, you know, looking at BHPO, that you are looking at Women of Honor, right? That's the WOH. So those are fantastic organizations. Spend time with them because you will only excel with them as much as you put in. And that's not a 1 hour a week venture. So definitely do that. I also want to encourage you to work more closely, specifically with the Health Professions Office, with Mr. Villarreal, and you're also welcome to just make an appointment with me if you'd like to, because when thinking about your degree plan and like what you mentioned you're doing this summer, I think all that's great, but I think that you want to be very strategic about it, and I want to make sure you're talking to folks who really can help guide you in the right direction.
Okay, okay. I'll
Yeah.
do that. Okay.
So if you're not, are you already working with the Health Professions Office?
I contacted them a couple times, and like I was telling her about the.
It's hard to get in.
Yeah. I told her about the summer classes. She said that's good. Just try not to take as many classes.
Yeah, I think there's some pluses and minuses to taking something like Gen Chem at the community college.
Yeah.
So I always want to have a good conversation with students about that so that you're going in really understanding the pros and cons to that. And then what your overall degree plan. I love both of your majors. I think it's that, I mean, you found a good fit there. right, for those two things. So, I just want you to be strategic.
Yes, ma'am.
And I want you to be strategic with folks who have experience
Yeah.
in moving into that. But really great job. And I love that you picked bright colors and you have a really fun presentation.
Thank you so much.
I'm looking forward to working with you again next year.
No, thank you so much. Thank you.
So,
I have a question. How would you say being a Texas Leadership Scholar has impacted your experience at UTSA?
Okay, I have another question because recently I took a girl who was recently like contemplating if she wanted to do TLS or not. And I was just telling her like the guidance that we have because like I feel like a lot of like regular students don't really have we have I guess three forms of advisors. We have like our special scholar advisors, the honor scholars, and the regular advisors. But with our special scholar advisors, they really take the time to get to know us. We have monthly meetings, and they just ask us how you're doing mentally, academically, and I feel like I really appreciate that because I never really had that.
That's nice.
Yeah.
And as a regular student,
Yeah.
last time I met with my advisor was May.
Yeah.
So
No, yeah, that's what I always say. I'm really grateful. It's like we're
It's
getting
my heart.
yeah.
It's almost like getting your hand held throughout college and you should do
Oh,
this,
that's
it'd be better I feel like a lot of us are first gen, so our parents don't really have anything to guide us with, at least for me at least. So being able to speak to people who are educated and know they've been doing this for a long time, very grateful for the opportunity.
it's complicated, I've given this example a lot because it's so true. So I wasn't a first gen student, but I was pretty much as close to first gen as you could get. My mother graduated from college when I graduated from high school, same year I graduated from high school. And she was like a non-trad with 4 kids, that whole kind of business. And I work in education. I've worked in education, in advising specifically for 20 years. My little sister is now a teacher, elementary school teacher, but a teacher, so she kind of knows education. When her oldest son, which was the oldest nephew, went to college, we had no idea what to do because every school is different. And then when my own kiddo started coming to school here, I saw a whole different side because I'd kind of seen what your screens look like in ASAP and Round Pound, but not really. I'd seen a snippet of it.
Yeah.
And then I'm seeing it through her eyes, right? And I'm looking at her canvas, not as the faculty member, but as my first year accounting kiddo, And it's just hard. It's hard on her, and she is me, and my husband's a teacher, and I worked here for 20 years. That nephew I was mentioning, I feel like I probably had, I don't even know how many conversations with financial aid trying to figure it out. And I at least knew the questions to ask.
Yeah.
So it's hard. We underestimate how hard it is.
Yeah.
We really, really do. And it's a good reminder. 36% of the population in the US over the age of 18 has a bachelor's degree. It's a third. If it weren't really hard, more than a third would have. And more than half of the adults who start college in the US, more than 50% fail to finish. If it were easy, that wouldn't be what the stats look like.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of persistence. So I always want to remind students of that because they think, oh, something, it should be easier. I should know how to do this better. There's some way, there's some magic, something. There's no magic. You just have to keep it on. So congratulations on a really successful.
I do have one question to you. What would you besides the summer school, what else would you advise me to do to have stand out more whenever I'm trying to get into
Sure.
my second year?
So pre-med students and and all pre-health profession students are basically going to be evaluated on their grades. And frankly, if you don't have really superior grades, everybody who makes it even to a secondary app has really good grades. So you gotta have that. And they wanna see that you've taken the courses in a rigorous environment and earned a higher grade. So like they'll recalculate, a lot of programs will recalculate your GPA if you had like a CLEP score or an AP score. Did you do it as dual credit? Did you take it at community college? So you kind of want to keep that stuff in mind. You're also evaluated on the number of direct patient care experiences and hours you've had. So that could be shadowing. It could be volunteering at a hospital. It could be working like with Corazon Clinic down at Haven for Hope. But the number of hours there is really important. And schools generally want to see you working over a long period of time, not just a lot of hours. So what do I mean by that? If you can work 5 hours a week in one of those capacities that I mentioned over 3 years, that's better than 15 hours a week for 1 year.
Yeah.
Because it shows your persistence and your tenacity, really.
Yeah.
So that's something you could absolutely make sure you're starting to do now. The other thing is, do you have leadership and have you shown responsibility outside of the classroom and an ability to also juggle all of those things together? So that's why I mentioned like BHPO and Women of Honor. It almost doesn't, I mean, if it has a professional connection, that's great. It doesn't totally not matter what the organizations are, but you need to be able to show that you're very engaged. So if it's BHPO or if it's Pre-Med Society, if it's Women of Honor or your church, or maybe you volunteer with Girl Scouts, the organization itself is less important than your ability to demonstrate a commitment over time. So that's really good you're working with them. And you want to be able to have things that you can point to and say not just that you had a title, but in this role, we accomplished X, Y, or Z. So you want to be an events person, right? Is it events? Yeah, so you want to be able to say, not I'm the events coordinator, you want to be able to say, as events coordinator, we held X number of events. This is a such and such percent increase over the previous year. We engaged X number of people for, this much time with these outside partners. So you want to be able to point to quantitative data. And then the final thing will be a standardized exam score. And that's just going to have to be high.
Yeah.
So whatever that looks like, the DAT, the MCAT, the GRE, you got to put that work in, and you need to do that as a junior.
Yeah.
So as a sophomore, outside classroom engagement, finding that direct patient way to work with someone, and George and I can help you find those things.
Yeah.
And it can look very different for any number of students. Be a candy striper. They're not called that anymore. Be a volunteer.
Yeah.
Or shadow, or whatever the case may be. So engage in that in your sophomore year, and then get heavily involved with those organizations.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. That's what. Okay, sophomore year, just engage and like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
So that should be what your checklist is.
Yes, ma'am. I'm gonna find a place I could probably volunteer at, stuff like that. I'm start looking now, so I can have something in mind.
Yeah, so all the big hospital systems in town have structured volunteer programs. And most students underestimate how long it takes to get started with them. But you can find on any of their websites the application, and the reason it takes time is you have to pass a background check.
Okay, yeah.
Are you a pre-health student too?
No.
Oh, so none of this is important to you. So you want to submit that application and get that background check, and you have to like get a TB test and a couple other things like that. So I always tell students, get started on that early, Because then as soon as you're back at school, then you can start volunteering right away. You don't have to wait 3-4 weeks. And then you're, getting started, and then you only got 2 months left before the semester ends, and all that sort of thing. The other thing is shadowing. And you can get connected to that a couple of different ways. But a great way is through UT Health. And so you can reach out to their individual departments and say, I'm interested in a shadowing opportunity. Are any of the physicians open to that right now, or are their schedules all full? And you can just, you can kind of look at the different departments and prioritize what you're interested in. Things like pediatrics, cardiology, oncology, they always get a lot of requests. But you never know, because all of the doctors let students shadow them. So if you don't ask, you're never going to get a spot to go shadow them. I've seen students, especially in like ophthalmology and there are a handful of others, but ophthalmology is one that's coming to mind. They don't get as many requests. So sometimes it's easier to be told yes there. Or if you happen to know a doctor, especially if you know a doctor that's in private clinical practice, you just reach out to them directly and say, would you be open to letting me shadow for 5 hours a week or 1 shift a day or something? Make sense?
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Great job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, let's exit out of everything. And what's your name?
Zoe,
Zoe, I'm Kristen.
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Yep.